Shohei Ohtani, he starts tonight for the Angels. The second half of the season's underway. I was at the All-Star game in Seattle. What a great time that was. Shohei talked about, wanting to win and not being non-committal, of course, to the Angels and anybody else, and he wants to wait till the season is over. But there is a story out there that Gary, that Ohtani is having the best season ever. And I get it because he pitches and he hits. And we heard that last year where everybody thought he should have been the MVP over Judge. That did not happen. Writers overwhelmingly picked Aaron Judge, who set the American League record for home runs, also led the Yankees to 99 wins in the division. It just was a different kind of thing, despite the numbers that Ohtani put up. But this whole information and idea that possibly he's having the greatest season ever, where are you on this, Gary?
Well, to me, it depends on how much you weigh in on winning. And last year, Aaron Judge was a part of winning. And I imagine you care about it, which I'm sure I'm going to hear it. But I'm looking at it, and it's not that he's just pitching. See, if he was just a pitcher, but he was an excellent hitter, then I feel like we would have an argument that, this might not be the best thing that we've seen, and it's not that compelling. But what you're talking about is a guy who's hitting 302 in an era where guys just really aren't hitting the baseball with any regularity. So he's hitting for a high batting average. He's driven in 71. He's stolen 11 bases. His on-base percentage is almost 400, right? These are numbers that we've talked about as a Hall of Fame level hitter. And then you combine that with him being the ace of a staff. If he was traded, regardless of the team, whether it be the Dodgers, the Mets, the Yankees, or the Giants, wherever you want to send him, he's their number one, other than maybe New York. That is compelling. That's something that we never saw, not even from Babe Ruth, when people like to compare the two because he hit and he pitched. But at the same time, Babe Ruth was a hitter at one point and then became a pitcher. So if I'm looking at that, I'm not seeing the same thing that I saw from Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani today is doing more than any other baseball player has ever done on the diamond.
Okay. I'm not going to dispute that. I just think we got to be real careful. And I get it. To this point, you're right on the numbers that he's put up. And it's always going to be this case when you have a guy doing something that nobody else does, right? When nobody else does it, it's hard. It doesn't even matter. Mm-hmm. Like people were making the case last year. Oh, look what he's doing! He's unbelievable, and he got trounced in the voting, right? Why didn't he not win last year? Because he put up great numbers in both pitching and hitting. Why do you think he was trounced last year? And this is my point, is that people can have better seasons, not better seasons doing two things, but maybe better seasons doing one thing. And if that leads to winning, I think that's where he gets hurt. I think Shohei will be hurt in the second half because he's got dog at bats coming where his team's got all kinds of injuries. Trout's going to be out. If they go into a tailspin, I'm not pitching to Shohei. Why would you pitch to Shohei Ohtani if he's your only bat or biggest bat in the lineup? So I think there's a possibility that this great season will never reach fruition because of that, because of the loss of Trout and Rendon's hurt. I think he's supposed to be coming back sooner than later. But you get my point. They will be playing meaningless games, and if I'm an opponent playing the Angels, why in the world would I ever give Ohtani stuff to hit? Help me out.
I don't think it matters. I think that's all narrative driven. And don't get me wrong, I would like to believe that the writers and I guess the voters, they won't care about narrative and maybe they'll ignore it, but we can't pretend like Roger Maris's record wasn't a large part of the reason why Aaron Judge won MVP. I cover the Yankees. I watch the Yankees all day long. Aaron Judge in that pursuit was the number one thing for Major League Baseball last year. It was the biggest thing that happened.
But you also talked about in an era where guys don't hit 300, this guy almost won the Triple Crown. He batted like 318. I mean, guys last year batting batting average was like 253. This guy batted 318. Almost had the Triple Crown. The Yankees won 99 games. There's a lot of stuff, and I think that's what they looked at. And it almost becomes, and I'm not saying it's the same, but it almost becomes like Russell Westbrook when he won the MVP, and he deserved it that year with the triple-doubles. Nobody had done it in 50-some-odd years, right? And OKC had a winning record way better when he had the triple-double. It wasn't like he's just piling up numbers and they had a losing record. They won at a higher clip when he had the triple-double.
No doubt about it.
So there was no doubt that he deserved that first one. But guess what? He had a triple-double the next 3 years and didn't sniff the MVP. So, Ohtani has already won one. He'll win this one, too. I mean, unless there's like somehow he totally collapse in the second half, I expect him to win. But I don't buy the narrative that every year he plays is automatic that he's going to be MVP. That I will not subscribe to.
See, that's the way that people would probably see Barry Bonds today. You'd watch 2 or 3 seasons and you'd say, this guy is he's the best bat in the game.
Well, he won 7. I mean, it's not like
7 MVPs.
He won 7 MVPs. I'm not saying that he won't win,
right.
But when I hear other players say he should win automatically, and it was J.D. Martinez said it, Kurt Schilling said it recently. I don't believe. I think each season is individual, and you got to look at people putting together. Is this the greatest year ever? So far, yes. I'm not going to sit here and try to pretend it's not. But it doesn't mean that somebody can't have a miraculous second half on the mound or at the plate, Gary, and lead their team out of the doldrums. And it could be the Padres. It could be the Mets. It could be somebody that turns a team's fortune around while the Angels are going the other way. Do you think that that's impossible?
I think it's impossible. I really do. And especially this year, because I agree with you. We can't just say because he pitches, he's the MVP every year just by showing up, because that just ruins the award.
Right.
And to be quite honest with you, if I'm going to vote for somebody as MVP, if he's going to pitch and hit, both of those numbers need to be compelling. It can't just be that you showed up and pitched and had 35 starts, but you were a great hitter this year. That, to me, is not an MVP. A guy who is excellent at pitching. He's the ace of an American League staff. He's the only reason why that team is 500. Without Shohei Ohtani, the Angels are essentially picking in the top 5 in the draft. He's the only reason they're winning baseball games. So for me, when you see Shohei Ohtani, he's probably not an Angel after this year. He's probably a Dodger. So when he goes to a team where he's surrounded by talent, I think then we're going to start to see Shohei Ohtani in winning combined with numbers. And that all that is going to culminate into a full MVP. And we're going to continue to calling him MVP until he really slows down.